Welcome to the Fans Perspective Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of your hosts, Angelo Foreman. I have my brother Christopher Honeycutt with me today. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's poppin', Who fam? It has been too long.
Yes, been waiting on these trades, man. We were sitting, me and you, we've been talking and texting like we've been waiting on a domino to fall, and I know we wait on Giannis. Giannis didn't happen, which we also
Yeah.
kind of expected, but we here, man. So make sure before you all tune into this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Everything you all do,
Yeah.
tune into our TikTok, tune into Instagram. Everything you all do, we much and greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, man, we'll go ahead and jump into our trade talk. So, Chris, the first domino that fell through, big domino that fell through the trade deadline, you have a straight up deal for Darius Garland to the Los Angeles Clippers, and James Harden is going to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts about this trade? Does this kind of seem left field? I didn't hear these talks about this trade potentially happening until maybe a couple of days up prior to. But what's your overall thoughts on this trade that transpired?
Well, I think the way that you described it was the perfect way to kind of articulate it. It did come completely out of left field. James Harden, to my knowledge, didn't make any public statement about wanting a trade or demanding a
Mhm.
trade. And I certainly didn't anticipate with their recent success of being 15-3 over the past 18 games, that would have warranted him desiring to be traded elsewhere. And so the fact that he and the organization came to an agreement that looking for a trade partner might be the best option for him and for the team moving forward, I thought was a little surprising. I was even
Same.
more surprised that the Cavaliers stepped up and decided to be that trade partner. Now, we had discussed before that
Mhm.
Cleveland would explore some trade options for Darius Garland. I just don't think the pairing of him and Donovan Mitchell made a whole lot of sense from a stylistic standpoint. I
Great.
also think that the Cavs kind of wanted to get a little bit bigger in the backcourt, particularly for defensive reasoning, and they were able to do that. Now, James Harden is a defensive stalwart, but he is going to give you a little bit more size. He has had a legacy defensively of at least being able to play in the passing
Given the
lanes
effort,
and
yep.
yeah, and being able to at least be an effective part
Mm,
of defensive rotations.
yep.
So I like the addition. I think that he'll complement Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt, and I think he'll be especially complimentary to those bigs.
And that was what I was going to ask you next is how do you think this unlocks the potential of Evan Mobley and then Jared Allen? Because I know also Jared Allen was in kind of those talks as well of potentially being moved. But I think with adding the likes of James Harden unlocks every single center he plays with. Like
Yep.
he's that special. Not also we've said it before. James Harden is a special player. He's been a six man. He's been a scorer. He's been a facilitator. Again, when you need him to make certain stops, he can get it done, but he has to spend the majority of his energy on the offensive end. But do you think now we'll see a different potential being unlocked with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen with James Harden in the fold?
Evan Mobley, especially,
Hmm.
right? Because I think Evan Mobley has already showcased that he has the kind of offensive versatility that aligns well with what it is that James Harden does really well offensively. Like James Harden is exceptional at driving and creating gravity in the defense and being able to find, those easy lobs or kickouts to the corner or to the wing. And Evan Mobley does a really good job of just finding open space and kind of roaming around the paint, finding his opportunities to catch in his spots, whether it be the dunker, whether it be at the elbow. And so when James creates that gravity, now having the weapons like Donovan Mitchell on the wing and Evan Mobley in the short or in the dunker spot or in the short corner, I think that it's going to, it's going to go really well for that offense.
And Evan Mobley, he's a bucket too. He reminds me, he's like in the same realm of your Bam Adebayo. Both
Yes.
are two strong two-way players. I also trying to figure out when is Bam going to take this leap because I feel like Bam should be the star of a team. Now I think he may be playing out of position because of him being only
Mhm.
6'9". Evan Mobley's a little bit taller, I believe, at almost 6'11", 7 foot. But you got to do something to activate these guys because the way the game is played now, you're not playing inside out. So these guys aren't getting
Right.
fast in the post. Similar to I think it's hard for Cat to kind of get going down, unless you can have a team that features him a little bit more and is like, hey, we're primarily going to make sure you're in this mid-range spot, you're on this 3-point line, but you also take away a lot of things from a, I guess, defensive standpoint or from a rebounding standpoint if you start to kick guys out of that post and dunker area. But to your point, bro, I'm curious to see how they can make this work. I'm not going to sit here and say that this trade pushes them to be number one in the East, number two in
Right.
the East, number three. I'm not saying it's going to keep them at this top of the Eastern Conference, but I got to see it be put together, see how these pieces mesh. Because if I'm not mistaken, did Dennis Schroeder also go to the Cavs?
And Keon Ellis. So that was the
Like,
first trade that they made.
that's what I was going to say. I believe Dennis Schroeder's there now, so that is a huge piece. I know people try to make jokes about Dennis Schroeder for not taking that contract and signing in Los Angeles Lakers, but Dennis Schroeder has been a part of a lot of teams playing good basketball. He was a part of the Detroit rebuild. He actually played well when he was in Sacramento. Like,
He
he is
did.
a player, a valuable player that you know on his team, which is also the reason why he's getting moved, because he is a valuable asset. So I'll be curious. I think the Cavs did get better on their side. Now on the Clippers end, what's your take on Darius Garland now being a Clipper? And it was dope to see. I didn't know his dad played for the Clippers in
Yeah,
the
I didn't know
past when
that
he was in the
either.
league too.
Yeah, I didn't know his dad was a former pro.
Same. That's
Had
what
no
the league is
idea.
full of now at this point.
Yeah, well, that's true. And that's it's another interesting conversation to get into.
Mm.
But I like the direction that it feels like the Clippers are going. I think they're trying to get younger. They're trying to get cheaper. Um, it still intrigues me that it feels like by default they're going to continue to build around Kawhi. I don't
Which
know what the
is crazy.
future plan or intention is around Kawhi because I think Kawhi is with 35.
If not close to a 35 or 36, I'm sure.
Okay, so he's between 35 and 36 and still battles lingering injuries. Um, so I don't know what the plan is. I also don't know how coveted Kawhi is right now as a trade
Mm.
asset. And so that also may be part of the deterrent behind why they have not been aggressive in moving Kawhi. Um, coupled with the fact that you all are also battling this investigation, which I don't know where that is. And so I also don't know from a league rule standpoint what limitations exist around players being able to be moved who are currently being investigated and what kind of
Okay.
investigations because obviously Terry was moved, but that's federal.
And he got, yeah, this about to say this doesn't even deal with the NBA. Fortunately for
Right.
his part, and I saw he got his money back, but no, yeah, I don't
So
know how that works.
yeah, I don't know if you are the product of an internal investigation if you're still allowed to be moved. Fact of the matter remains, I like the direction that they're headed. I think
Mm.
Darius Garland is still a lead guard, and with the right type of supporting cast, can be a starting guard for a really good playoff and or championship contending team.
Agreed. And for me, the biggest piece, he needs to get healthy. And it's
Mm,
like Clippers, you all are attracted to getting these injured guys. I thought they would have gone for LaMelo, but I think the way that the Hornets are playing, you're not getting LaMelo now. They're on a
right.
8, 9 game win streak, so they're starting to see some of those visions come to fruition for them potentially at the moment. But to your point as well, I do think Darius Garland can make some things happen. Now, I didn't know how they were going to get out of the deal with James Harden, but right, you got younger, you got Darius Garland, you got Ben Mathurin in the deal, which we'll talk about
Mm-hmm.
with Pacers trading for
Yep.
Zubac. But they got out of a hole that I didn't think they would be able to get out of. So shout out to their front office and them being able to make those moves happen. And then Kawhi, I need to look up, like, 'cause I believe, I'm like, man, Kawhi is playing really good this year. And I feel like this happens in spurts where we have like a few years where we're like, Kawhi is still Kawhi. And I'm like, it's a contract year. He does this every single time. Contract year, he gets to it. He stays quiet. He gets his numbers. And so it is going to be hard for you to not pay him. But it's like, you ain't fooling me, man. Every single contract year is when you show up and you play the
Have an All
majority of your
NBA season.
games. Right, like he does. But no, man, I think we both, like we both said, we're going to see how that trade pans out. But I'm excited to see what the Clippers and Cavs what they do moving forward. So Next trade we got, man. This is a big trade, and there's been a
Hmm.
lot of kind of unknown and what people don't understand about the trade that the Pacers did for um, Zubac, and then for Ben Mathurin leaving, going over to the Clippers. So to kind of break down this trade as well, so this is what the Clippers received. So the Clippers received Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, who was a center, a 2026 first round pick, and a 2029 unprotected first round pick, and then also a 2028 second round pick. And then the Pacers receive, of course, Zubac and then Kobe Brown. Now, to explain to the audience, this is how the protected pick works that the Clippers are receiving from the Pacers. So
Hmm.
it's 1 through 4 protected and 10 through 30. So if the pick falls between 1 through 4, right? Right, Adams, Silver, and they call it out and they say, hey, Pacers get the number 3 pick, or anything 1 through 4. The Pacers are able to keep that pick and they'll be able to make that draft from those numbers. If they pick from 10 through 30, right, when they're calling those numbers, they also get to keep that pick. Now, if this pick falls between 5 and 9,
5 and 9.
it's gone. That pick goes to the Clippers, and Clippers have a great opportunity to continue to build. Now, for me, I feel like this gets tricky because I do think the league sometimes has their agenda. I do think it can make sense to give Pacers a good piece because of how they did their run last year with Holly, and right, the ratings were really, really high for what the Pacers were able to do. Maybe you give the Pacers a Nuggets, you give them 1 through 3, and with the allegations going on, right, do you reward
Hmm.
the Clippers with having
A
the
top
top
five
pick?
pick.
I doubt it. So I do think Indiana will be able to get that. So before I was nervous that the Pacers made that pick. I feel like they had made it too soon if it was only 1 through 4 protected. But when I found out it's 1 through 4 and 10 through 30, makes a lot of sense. And then also kind of to that trade as well. If the Pacers do fall between 1 and 4 or 10 through 30, then the Clippers will receive a 2031 first round pick from the Pacers, which is years down the line. So Pacers are in a good spot. So now I feel more confident about the move. Now, how do you feel about Pacers obtaining Zubac and then also having to let go of a young piece in Ben Mathurin?
Well, I think internally it was a stylistic move. It felt
Hmm.
well. First of all, I think a lot of the teams during the trade deadline made moves for one or two reasons, which typically is why most teams make trades, which is to either get cheaper or to try to get better,
Fact. Yeah.
right? And so I think for Indiana, this was an opportunity to turn the corner in assuring that they're going to get better. Right, I don't think Ben Mathurin had the level of production and the level of development that the Pacers were expecting. I don't think that he grew into the kind of two-way threat that they were anticipating that he would. And then the way that Aaron Nesmith had been performing alongside Nimhard, I think gave them
And he's cheap.
um, Eddie
And that
Sheep.
style, like that, the way he plays, his money is probably going to stay right where it is or go a little bit above, but it's not going to be too high
You
with
talk about
Ben
Nesmith,
Mathurin's Neesmith because Ben Mathurin's
yeah,
price may go up because of how he can score. So it made sense for
and
them
he's
to
still
make
so
that trade.
young
He's young too.
because Ben
Yep.
Mathurin is only what 22,
Maybe
if
22,
that.
23. I don't know how old he was when he came in, but I know he was pretty young. So yeah,
And
probably
he should
around that
still he
age.
should be on the back end of his rookie contract, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which again, while they probably got rid of him and said, hey, we gotta make a move and get something out of it before we can't pay him because you still got Holly on a super max. You got Pascal. I don't know if it's a super
Yeah.
max, but he's on a max deal. So you gotta be really careful with that. And you need to get assets with those contracts because that's how you gotta build around the league now. You gotta draft well. And you gotta have assets as we see that the Wizards have loaded up on and what Thunder has continuously kept in their back pocket and the Spurs have done. So I like what they did. Do you think this helps Pacers? To me, here's my thing that I'm afraid about. That Pacers start winning with this move because Zubac is going to bring a lot to this team right now. This is not a we got to wait and see. Zubac will be a good contributor to the team. The Pacers got to keep losing. You can't come in
Yeah,
here and get Zubac and try to win. So hopefully they can
I
make
don't
it
think
work.
that I don't think he would impact the win differential that much. I
I hope
think
not.
at most they might be it might be a +4 win game team. than where
But
they're already projected to win.
I feel like we had a lot of teams in that East that's trying to lose. That's my fear. It's like now all you're playing in this rat race game to get to the bottom of the standings are your division. But
I think
hopefully
that's a valid point.
they're far enough down, so hopefully they just stay there.
I
Please get
yeah,
that pick.
that bottom four. I think the only movement that they're going to experience is between or amongst still remaining in the bottom four. Like they might be the absolute worst team in the conference at some point, or they might be the fourth worst team. But I don't think they'll crack anywhere into the top 10 or 12.
Agreed, man.
I'm sorry, top 10.
Hopefully
But I thought it was a
get
good
that
move,
pick.
though.
Do you like it for
And
the
then and
Clippers?
Yeah,
Getting them?
although again, my only reservation about the Clippers has always been I don't know what the Clippers' identity is. And so it often has felt like they just make moves to try to kind of collect as much talent as possible, and then they'll just figure it out once they got guys on the roster. But that hasn't worked out since Steve Ballmer's taken over the program.
It's almost like they're trying to fill seats, but they're not really trying to put together a program that's going to result in winning games and meaningful games, like for a long time. It looks good on paper, but I don't
like
know what
bringing
it
in
seems
James
like.
Harden and Kawhi Leonard and pairing the two of them, yes, out loud that sounds good, but stylistically, it doesn't always make sense, and so that's my only reservation with the Clippers is that I don't know what they're doing culturally.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Bringing in young talent is always that's a step in the right direction. They're trying to rebuild.
Agreed. And so again, I hope Pacers are able to capitalize on this next year. I actually can't wait to see how he looks next year. It looks like he picked up on some weight. I saw he gained like 15 to 20 pounds. I saw the interview with LeBron, and I do think Holly will stay consistent. I'm not going to lie. I was a person when he first came to Indiana and he signed a Supermax. I'm like, I didn't fully agree with signing a player that plays his style of Supermax, but I fully believe that the Pacers build the right roster structure that warrants him having that contract. I think if you were looking, because at the time he was the only player that they had, so I'm like, he's not scoring 30 a game, 26, 28 plus. Like, how are we giving him this money? But now you build a team to where he's going to make any team better. And honestly, this can help bring free agents to a team like that to Indiana. When you have a guy who is pass first, where he's like, I don't care how much, he literally does not care how much he scores. So you have an unselfish superstar who is willing to pass the ball, who you know this team is going to score a lot of points because they believe in pushing the ball up the court, kicking it, playing with pace.
Got a fun play style.
If I'm a young star or something like that, or I want to try to make a name somewhere in a conference that is kind of lackluster and not as competitive as the Western Conference, I'm like, give me Indiana.
He is an attractive, superstar that want to play alongside. I would agree with that. Yeah.
So I definitely want to watch Pacers that move this off season. The next trade we got Boston Celtics. Man, they are at it again, being a smart organization.
Yep.
I'll kind of walk through the trade details. So Nikola Vucevic trade acquired from Chicago with a second-round pick in exchange for Anthony Simons and a second-round pick. There was also a few other trades that came within that. So you had Xavier Tillman traded to Charlotte, and then along with $3.5 million in cash. You had Chris Boucher traded to the Utah Jazz, and then you had Josh Minot traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And then with doing this trade, Celtics were down successfully able to get themselves underneath that second apron tax. And so for people that don't know, and I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but that second apron has a lot of restrictions. You can't aggregate trade, so you can't include multiple players and try to get that exchange for a higher salary paid player. There's free agent restrictions. You can't sign a player for a mid-level exception, which is 5 to 13 million, which a lot of teams try to use. I think Houston is able to use it now with the injury kind of to their exception with, Fred VanVleet. But there's so many restrictions that hinders you, or also they have a draft restriction. So if they didn't get underneath this tax, like within the first if they stay within in the first 7 seasons or 3 to 5 seasons, if you don't if you stay in that second apron, right, you lose that pick is frozen and automatically gets pushed into the end of the round. So Boston did a really, really good job of not only protecting itself from a financial standpoint, but you also got better and you filled your team with the piece that's going to be there when Jason Tatum comes back potentially this year or next year. If I'm him, I don't come back this year. This year was already a wash. So I don't think there's no need to push and risk potential injury, especially with it being an Achilles. Stay off of it. But what's your thoughts to this trade? Do you think Boston made the right move getting him during this time and preparing for possibly another championship run in the future?
Well, I don't even know if it was so much about the roster construction as much as it was about financial management,
Agreed.
right? Like we talked about, Boston has been very intentionally and strategically purging their
Mhm.
roster to get under that second apron, because, as you shared, those second apron penalties can be hampering,
Yeah.
and debilitating on how you build out the duration of, the future of your team and of your roster. In addition to all of those penalties, I also think that there's limitations to sign and trade
Yep, there is. Yep.
access. And so you think about really kind of handcuffing how you can put together a team that allows you to win now, and how you
Mhm.
prepare for the future. And so I thought that Boston did an excellent job of getting out in front
A
of what
plus.
was going to eventually become some pretty significant tax penalties.
Yeah. A plus. And to your point, it's I do believe as well it's primarily about the financial goals of being able to remain flexible as an organization to continue to add and build around Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I just think the byproduct was Nicola of having him added to your roster and like, hey, we wanted to protect the money, but now we also got an asset in this player that is going to be value added to our roster and what we do. I believe he can kind of fill the same void that KP
First
did,
out, yep.
but KP wasn't healthy. So like they even for that playoff run they had, they didn't have KP for majority of that run when they won that championship. So Nicola's one that is typically healthy. I honestly don't think people realize how good he is because he was in Chicago.
Fringe
But
All Star.
there was a stint where he was just double double, triple double, like consistently. And I'm looking at this situation that the richest got richer, and they're going to be
Hmm.
another team that's on my radar. That if I had to pick a team to be top two in East next year or top three, I would throw Boston in there. Now, a quick pivot that I have a question for you about, but with Boston is does Jalen Brown's performance tell you anything different about how the Boston Celtics should move with this team, or does it tell you anything different about how valuable he is to this organization? Because I see there's a lot of talk about him being one and this and better than Jason. Man, I fully disagree with some of that discourse that's been talked about.
I think both things can be true.
Mhm.
I think that his post game conference he had, I think it was maybe a week or two ago, where he had expressed feeling like for the past 5 or 6 years that he had been the one who's been expected to take the back seat, who's had to make the most sacrifice to what he is as a player. And I'm sure that that is probably true. I think Jason Tatum had been more welcomed by the NBA as someone who could be the face of the NBA. And there was a greater push and a greater marketing effort to put Jason Tatum out in front of the league. Um, and because Jalen Brown is as vocal as he is as righteous as he can be, um, we know that in most corporate spaces, that can be a little off putting, regardless of how talented you are. And so I think that there's truth to that, coupled with the fact that part of why they've had to do so much purging is because of how expensive he and Jason's contracts
Man,
are.
very expensive.
You're paying over $600 million between two players, one of which has now spent an entire season rehabbing an Achilles injury, and you don't really know how to project how he's going to look post recovery.
Correct.
So there has to be a managerial conversation about how do we move forward, especially if Jason isn't the same all NBA MVP candidate Jason that we are accustomed to having.
Yeah.
When you do have someone like Jalen Brown who has shown he's capable of being an all NBA MVP candidate caliber type of player.
Playing
And
phenomenal too this year.
he's playing phenomenal. And I think that he also has the kind of leadership temperament that fits a 1A championship contending leader
Yeah.
in a way that Jason does not, at least from the outside looking in. And so I think all of those things considered, you would have to think about what a future without Jason Tatum could potentially look like. I don't think you have to
And
make
that's
the decision,
scary.
but I think you have to consider it.
And that's the tough part that comes with this CBA because it's hard. I wish there wasn't a rule or exception if you draft a player. There's certain safeguards that you have as an organization
I would
to retain
agree.
these players to your team because that should be the reward that I drafted well. And now this money that so like I wish it was maybe something that like how MLB they don't have a salary cap. I wish there was a certain percentage of that money that a team could spend if these players were drafted by them that hey, this does not hit this part of the
I would
salary
agree.
cap because this is your reward for how well you drafted and this is how we reward you, right? And I do think to your point, it may have to have a conversation. Hopefully they don't have to, depend on Jason Tatum's play and how he recovers and how he looks when he returns. But the only thing I would say that I think Jaylen Brown needs to be careful of is he's praising himself a lot. He's talking a lot where he's like, I've been trying to tell y'all I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, I don't want him to where it's like pushing this narrative when Jason Tatum comes back and then it's like, I told you. And then now it's this, I told you I was better than
Division.
him. I try and that's where I feel that potential with how he's moving. And for me, it's like I always believe you are this player. I think most people believe you are this player. I think the media played this game with y'all and try to pin you all against each other. We all know why Jason Tatum got the spotlight that he did. He went to Duke. He like it was a cookie cutter person to push. But if you also think about it, people don't praise Jason Tatum. The media pushed it. More fans probably saw it on the era
Fair point.
of Brown than they do Jason Tatum. So just don't want to see them have this friction because there's a lot of people who don't like you or they have this narrative against you. Jaylen Brown, your narrative is you're too outspoken or you're this, you're that. Jason Tatum, you're not a star. You're not really this. We saw what happened with USA. So these
You're
are
not
all
outspoken
things.
enough.
These are all things that people are trying to work to get you all to pull apart. And with them having this young dynamic duo, like I just want to see them keep that together. And I don't want to see I just hope the conversations, the discourse around the 1A, the 1B, like you all both need each other. Like you just mentioned, I do believe Jaylen Brown is the leader of that team.
Yeah.
And I believe he's also, like you said, two things can be true at one time. He's often, or maybe you can split up right down the middle. He's the best player on that team at times. That is okay. Because now if you I had thought at one point in time the Pacers should have traded for Jaylen Brown. So I'm like, we just really need a scorer, a punch just before they got past Scott. And I said, I think Jaylen Brown could be that guy. He feels like he would fit Indiana to just come in and he would take reins of an organization and be like that vocal guy that we really wanted Paul George to be. Paul George had the talent, but like that want to,
He didn't
that
have a
moxie,
personality.
he didn't have that where it's like, I don't care where I'm at. I'm here to play. I want to control this team. And yeah, but I do think Jaylen Brown, man, he's a phenomenal player. Jason Tatum as well, and I hope they can make it work.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It kind of reminds me, it's not apples to apples comparison, but it kind of reminds me of a lot of the conversations around Shaq and Kobe, right? When after they won their third and Kobe felt like he wasn't getting his just due for
It's
how
almost
much he
the same.
contributed
It's
to
the
them winning
same.
their championship. Yeah, and we know what happened. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. But they are also a team that has been significantly impacted by salary cap and CBA restrictions.
And thankfully, because you have two stars that are locked up, you just build around them. So you continue to sign players for cheap. And you
Vet
just hope that
minimums.
You just
Mid-level
hope
too.
that Jalen Brown and Tatum are the guys to help lead. Now, I am curious to know, and we're going to have to look this up, but like when this CBA deal ends, because the players are going to have to get this next one right.
I
Because there
think
are a
this
lot of teams getting punished for
this
drafting well.
I think the CBA concludes in 29.
That's not bad.
I think it's
So,
a 29-30 season because it's a 7-year term.
okay, that's not
And this
bad
was
then.
the last one I think was 22-23 or 23-24. It was
One of those,
so
yeah.
it's yeah.
Okay, cool. That's not bad. All right, so we got another trade, Washington Wizards. So
Mm,
they've made quite a few moves. They got Trey Young in the deal a little bit before the trade deadline. And then this next trade we have with Anthony Davis, who the Wizards received. They also received Jaden Hardy from the Dallas Mavericks, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. The Mavericks received Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Ka, Marvin Bagley. They also received a 2026 first round pick, but this is OKC's. This is from OKC, so that's going to be a late
mm,
draft pick. 2030 first round pick. This was Golden State's pick, but it's also top 20 protected.
okay.
Right, that's still not really a valuable pick, but you can get something out of it. Hopefully, in that pick in 2030. Then they got 3 second round picks. They're like from Phoenix, 2 from Phoenix, and I think 1 from Chicago. What's your thoughts on the trade with Washington and what they're doing right now as an organization?
I like what they did. I
Hmm.
thought Will Dawkins cooked
And me and you
personally.
disagree a little bit, but yeah, I want to finish hearing your take.
I thought he cooked. I thought that
Hmm.
he made lemonade out of lemons. Washington has historically been a franchise that struggled to attract free agent signings, and they never particularly have been a part of huge multi-team trades. In addition to the fact that even when they are in the lottery, and they've drafted decently. I thought they did a better job of drafting in the 2010s. They just dealt with a lot of injuries. Bradley Beal was constantly hurt. John Wall was constantly hurt. But both of those guys were all NBA performers at one point in time.
They were.
So it's not like they're a bad drafting team. It's those other areas of procuring players that they struggle a little bit. So
Mhm.
with what they have, I'm not mad at it. You still retain all of your young talent. You didn't lose Trey Johnson. You didn't lose Keontae George. You didn't lose Bubba Carrington. You didn't lose Alex Sarr. So you still maintained a core 4 of really young, promising, talented players.
And still got
You
some
added,
money in your pocket.
if I'm not mistaken, I think they may have the second or third most cap space entering the summer this year. Again, I could totally be
It could
mistaken,
be a
but
little bit less now because they've added Trey and
but
AD, but you still got some.
they still got some bread. And clearly had bread in order to be able to add Trey
Yeah.
and Anthony Davis.
Mhm.
Both of which I'm not mad at, particularly the stylistic addition of Trey Young and Anthony Davis. Stylistically, I think if they're both healthy, that works. Both of those guys are pick and roll, pick and pop, scoring, playmaking, decision making, uh, players who now with guys like Alex Sarr around you and Trey Johnson, who I think is shooting over 38, 39% from 3 this season.
Yeah, he's shooting that
Um,
clip.
listen, I think there's some things that they can do here, man.
And you
I'm
still
excited to
may
see
get
what it
a
looks
top
like.
pick.
So you're still talking about adding someone
Mhm.
like Keaton Wagner from Illinois to their roster. You still may
There's
have the
so many
option to add
players.
another 6'8",
So many
6'9",
players.
versatile two-way wing to a roster like this. So overall, I thought that Will Dawkins did a great job.
Okay.
What was the
So
reservation?
I agree. I agree. You know what? I agree mostly. I just have a few like things I just don't like about the
Okay.
move that they had. So I'll tell you what I do like. I like that you got Trey Young. And when I'm happy for Trey Young, because I hate this people talking about small point guards. He's going somewhere where he's going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to be a part of something where he can help build again, which I think Trey is not afraid of that type of spotlight. And I think DC's a good city for Trey to be in. It's a beautiful city. I think they're going to love him,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's going to bring a lot of exciting basketball. So if I'm a fan of Washington sports, whatever, you're going to be in a good space with having Trey Young. He's going to put fans in those seats, right? Second point, I do like the style that now you can run with because Trey Young is such a great passer. So you're going to
Yes.
be able to move the ball to Alex Sarr. He's probably going to lock him a little bit. You're going to get Trey.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get Trey Johnson in better spots. You're going to find AD when he's on the court, when he's healthy, when he's playing. We know who he is. So I like those additions and what they can bring to the team. And then you also are still going to have a draft pick this year that's going to be a very high pick. So you're just adding more talent. Now, the thing that I don't like is the health of Anthony Davis. To me, it's almost like, you know what, we'll take him. Hopefully he can be a bridge and he can help, right, help develop us.
Bring Sarr along.
And I think that is the case, so I dislike it, but I do like if that is kind of the
Kind of thought process.
the way that is thought process, and that's the way that the direction that they want to go in to kind of use him as leverage to help develop players. But that is my piece. It's just the health of Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis, if he's playing, man, I truly like this Washington Wizards team. I really do.
And that's a fair concern to have. Every single
Mm,
place he's gone, he's played less than
mm,
the amount of time he spent there. So that's a fair reservation to have.
yeah. Came into the season overweight. Like to me, I just always feel like
Yeah,
he
I
was
get it. I
never.
get it.
I feel like he got that ring and checked out. My personal opinion. I feel like he got the ring with LA, and ever since is just like
Hasn't been the
him
same.
coming into the season overweight. It pissed me off. Me being a Dallas native now, and seeing that, like knowing the pick you have, knowing the opportunity you have to continue to set up yourself and your future. And again, I know mental health is a real thing. I'll never ever take that lightly. I've dealt with it myself, and maybe some of that was from the trade. But you are a professional athlete at this point. Like trades happen. Was it a terrible trade? Luca also hated that trade. Like it's more worse on Luca's end than yours.
That's fair.
And then Luca comes in the best shape of his life, and you come in out of shape,
Looking
overweight.
like you don't want to be there.
So that pissed me off. So like I think I'm just kind of done with Anthony Davis, and overall, I'm not a fan of superstar players who just aren't available. Like I'm kind of over
I'm with you on
the
that.
Zion trade. I'm getting close to that train with Ja. We've talked about that off camera. We'll talk about it today, but I need guys that are going to be healthy. That's going to be available because what are we talking about? You guys are making. It's not even about you're making all this money, but also I just don't always see the will, the want to be available.
Mm.
It's like, what do we like? I don't even want to have the conversation about you that often because I'd rather spend the time talking about the Jalen Browns, the
Guys who are
Anthony
playing.
Edwards, the guys who are playing, and you see that they visibly want to be out there and figuring things out. Overall, I think the Wizards do. I would give the Wizards a good grade for this trade because as you mentioned, you turn lemons into lemonade. So you got to have a situation that I didn't think they were going to get out of. So
Yeah.
kudos to them.
Yeah.
A couple more trades. Minnesota Timberwolves, they received Io, is it DeSomo?
I
But
think
hopefully I
so.
pronounced that
Yep.
right. And then Julian Phillips, and then Chicago Bulls, they get Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, and then 4 second-round draft picks. What's your thoughts on this trade? Does Minnesota win this trade? Chicago, I don't
What
even
the
want
fuck
to,
is Chicago doing,
bro.
bro?
Chicago. I saw them play the
What
other
is
night.
happening?
I saw him play the other night, and I was looking at roster. I'm like, damn, who's playing? I'm like literally, who's playing on their team, bro? I was like, who is their center? Center, he's 6'9". I'm like, they didn't make no other moves before the trade deadline ended.
No.
You just gonna keep
17 guards. And that's what y'all have. You have a team full of guards. Why? It didn't even make sense financially. It wasn't even like that you all were so beyond the second apron that you just had to
Made
purge
zero
as
sense.
many guys as possible so they can get under the second apron. I think they're a team that exists right outside of the salary cap, but right under the first apron. So you weren't at any sort of financial strain. And the roster set at the moment is still in a space that felt competitive. Like you all were a play-in team, or at least going to compete for a play-in. What you maybe needed to look to do was to add a all-star, superstar talent, maybe somewhere at the wing spot. Maybe now is the time to explore flipping someone like Patrick Williams, who still has not come along.
And you're paying him one of the most, he's
What
one
are
of
we
your
doing?
highest paid players in your team, and he's not giving you nothing.
So I completely didn't understand really any of the moves they made. You let go of Kobe White, who I felt like, without living in Chicago, was a fan favorite there.
No, they
The
definitely
reception he
love him in
gets every
Chicago.
time he's on the
Yeah.
floor is overwhelming. Like, he ain't D Rose, but he probably is one of the most, fan appealing players that you all have had since D Rose. You got rid of him. I don't understand. Again, like the Clippers, it feels like you're doing stuff because you feel like you're supposed to.
And they got
And
zero
that's not what the
first round
trade
picks,
deadline
bro.
is for.
They got no first round picks for any of
So
the
you
moves
have
they
no
made.
future and you have no present.
No
What are we
attractive
doing?
pieces for guys to say, you know what, let's go to Chicago. And I hate that because Chicago, we both know, is one of the most best cities you could probably be in. It's a beautiful
Man,
city. It's a big market, and you don't have anything attractive about this organization right now besides, like, you did all this after D Rose retired. You said D Rose retired, let's get all point guards to honor D Rose being the point guard for the
that had
Bulls.
to have been the
Like,
idea.
you got
That had to
8
have been it.
million point guards on this team. And I'm like, I also feel sorry for guys like Rob. And this may be a deeper conversation that, like, you and I have talked off
Sure.
air, with the league being so young, and it's so
Mhm.
easy to push players out now with how the league is constructed. I was really looking through rosters the other day, and I'm like, I don't know a place where Rob can go to just go hoop and make mistakes. I don't
Mhm.
know a team. Like, if we just started naming teams right now, okay, Houston. No, you got Reece Shepard. Washington Wizards. No, you got now Cooper, who, right? You still got Bob Carrington. Now you got Trae Young.
Yeah.
Cooper's getting PT right now because Trae's not there. Spurs, no. Clippers, no. Cavaliers, just the teams that are in these trades. Pacers, no. Like,
He would have to go to a bad team. Hey, he'd go play at Brooklyn. But what are you getting out of that? Except minutes. You're not getting any development, which is why they had to waive Cam Thomas.
and no one's
Because
looking
he
at
was just
Brooklyn.
a stat stuffer because it's nothing else to do there.
Yeah, he would have to go win. Like, if you don't go there and win, then no one's gonna care about your numbers. Like, Michael Porter Jr. is probably not gonna get moved because he has a hefty contract, and people are like, I don't care. We all know he can score a bucket. Most guys can leave our team and go to the Brooklyn Nets and do what he's doing.
Like, you're a professional.
Fool's
Anybody can
gold.
score 20 if they're paying 30 minutes.
Like, those
That's
guys
usually how
can
that
get
goes.
buckets. All those guys can get buckets. Even when guys get hurt. Peyton Watson, he's been a bucket, but cool. He had an opportunity because guys get hurt. Cool. Now it's my time. I step up. So, yeah, I hate it for guys like Rob Dillingham, Anthony Simons. I wish he had an opportunity to really do something. I don't think he did enough in Portland. He needed to win in Portland. He needed to figure out how to win games there, and they just couldn't get it done. And what we talk about, bro, I think winning is the formula for your future success in your
Yep.
career. Because now you scoring buckets, that is no longer like a premium. It's no longer like a premium anymore, because everybody can do it.
The cost of being a bucket getter in the NBA and making that your reputation is so high. It's so high now. You are talking about less than 1% of guys in the NBA who are asked to be the focal point of an offense. Less than 1%. Even when
So
you
if you
talk about
can't,
superstars.
so if you can't do the other little stuff, there's no point in me having you if all you can do is get buckets. I need guys who are going to come in here and play defense, pick up full court, get steals, make the right reads, make the right cuts, make the right passes. I do not care if you can score 20 because most importantly, most of these guys are going to get a lot of shots anyway because of the clip that everyone shoots, especially if you're a
Yep.
3-point
Pace
shooting
of
team.
play. Yep.
So it doesn't matter. Like everyone can score. Y'all in the league for a reason. All y'all can score. But can you play within the system? Yeah, we've talked about, bro, with like the grassroots, and I don't think a lot
I
of
was
these
just about to
guys
say that.
can. So when we talk about, oh, this person can score this, no one cares about that anymore. This is not the early 2000s where you had a lot of guys who just couldn't shoot or score at a high clip. You know how many guys are like I would like to see the averages now versus like in the past, just how many guys are averaging 20 plus on, 40 plus field goal percentage and almost 30% 3-point shooting. A lot of these guys can score the basketball. But if you don't fit the structure of the team, what good does it make?
And at the end of the day, it is going to keep reverting back to the same conversation we keep having about grassroots development. This is the byproduct of being in a individualized training environment because all you learn how to do is be good at having the ball in your hands.
And getting buckets.
When you spend an hour and a half, 2 hours doing a bunch of moves on cones, that's the only part of your game is going to translate. I was just watching, and you can find this on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
The EuroLeague under 19 nationals, or EuroLeague tournament that they have happening is happening right now. Those club league teams, right? And I was watching because they just stream them live on YouTube. And these are 17, 18, 19-year-old guys. And the pace of play and the style of play and the actions they're running already are comparable to stuff that you're going to see at Duke or at UConn or at Kentucky right now. And they're doing it at 17 and 18. And so we wonder why when a lot of these European guys or international guys come over here, they adapt so well because they're accustomed to figuring out how to still be, a contributor without having the ball in my hand. How can I still be effective on a 45 cut? How can I still be effective in the short corner? How can I still be effective in the dunker spot when I'm getting ready where I'm about to be doubled? How do I make a pass out? How do I make a decision out?
Yes.
They're practicing that. We're not. What we're practicing is how I get 40. And getting 40 is cool. Don't get me wrong. But unless you can do it better than Shea and Ant, you're not going to be asked to do that when you get to the league.
And that's why I think it hinders. Like, we really do got to take a look at how these players develop, and especially what they do off the ball, because a lot of these guys are scorers and they get to. In college is different because it's no space in the college. But when they get to the league, it's like they get shocked because they don't know what to do. Because and I think Rob Dillingham is a prime
Great example of that.
Besides of like him being small in stature in the defense, he hasn't learned how to play with a certain pace because he's used to playing like this. Because you can play that type of game in our American style of play because we just score. We go, go score, go shoot. You can just play fast and twitchy, but it's not the control Tony Parker, the control Chris Paul.
Right.
Like there's really no point guards. Like I know people say there's positionless basketball, and I don't necessarily believe in that, but I do believe there is no longer any point guards besides maybe Tyrese. And I'm not gonna lie, Isaiah Collier from he went to USC. He's at Utah. Point guard. I like what I see him doing, but that is what's going to keep you.
See how hard it was for him to get minutes.
It took him a while because now all these guys are traditionally just scorers. No one wants to facilitate and distribute the ball, and that is a part of the game I think will come back is true point guard play.
Yes,
because that is going to build the consistency of how your roster, how your team moves, and if you can have it in a star player, even more kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean you said it, bro. I think it has to come back. It has to come back. I think the traditional point guard, to me, has these stylistic ebbs and flows similar to the quarterback. Where for a long time, especially when you and I were growing up, quarterbacks who looked like us had to fight to be recognized as a quarterback. Because so often we were just only seen as athletes who could just so happen to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas now, you have to have a running quarterback or you have to have a mobile quarterback if you want to survive.
Yeah.
right? But I think eventually running backs will evolve, receivers will evolve, other skill positions will
as they
evolve,
always do.
and the flow of the traditional pocket passing quarterback will come back, similar to the pass first point guard. I think will have to come back because guys are just so talented. Everybody can score now.
All it takes is one player to do it exceptionally well, and then everyone copies it. So, like if Ben
And maybe
Simmons,
Hallie
if
could be
he,
that guy.
I'm about to say Holly could be that guy, but if Ben Simmons would have just, had a different attitude about his
Oh my
play,
God.
he probably would have made players not only have a tall player, but like, hey, we can have someone on the court who doesn't maybe shoot the ball, exceptionally well. But he provides so many other things. We got to keep him on the floor. Now you're a space and nightmare because no one has pushed to change that narrative, or your style of play hasn't been able to change that narrative. Again, because we talked about people don't play defense as much as they need
Yep.
to. So now it is much harder to be on the court. Like Dyson Daniels, he can't. He's kind of hard to play.
He is.
Like I hope he just locks in the gym this summer. And he just shoots. Because if he can do that, the Hawks also would be very, very nice. And I know we'll get to that's the last trade we got to speak about. So perfect segue. Last
Yeah.
trade. Warriors, they received Kristaps Porzingis from Atlanta, and the Hawks received Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. What's your thoughts on the trade on both sides?
I thought it was a good look for Atlanta.
Same.
I felt like the Warriors settled. Obviously, who they really wanted was Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that
Mhm.
didn't happen. And so they was like, well, we'll take the fourth best thing or fifth best thing from Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is a recovering KP. And so I still think there's some things that he can contribute to that team. He's still going to stretch the floor.
Mhm.
He's still going to add additional size. He is a very capable rim protector. So you're talking about
Absolutely.
having an additional backline defense behind Draymond. So there are still some things that he's going to be able to contribute, but the Warriors just keep getting older
Mhm.
and more or less durable. Versus Atlanta, I like Jonathan Kuminga. I
Boy,
think
young and
that
fast.
yeah, man. I mean, especially if they are going to continue to play this way, where Jalen Johnson is kind of serving as like kind of in a similar
Flag,
fashion
point
as
forward.
Giannis. Yeah,
Giannis.
or Cooper Flag, yeah, where he has the ball in his hands, he's the primary decision maker. If you have a front line of Jalen Johnson, Jonathan Kuminga, and Nickeil Alexander Walker,
Nikhil.
it's going to be, especially if Jonathan Kuminga locks in defensively, it's going to
Bro,
be so hard
that's a
to
nightmare.
score on them. Oh my
And then
God.
the Dyson can come in and he does
Oh
what he
my
does, and then he can
God.
shoot lights
And you
out,
still
man.
bring Buddy Hield. So yeah, again, you add additional shooting because they got rid of Kevin Herter.
Yep. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gone.
So I liked it for Atlanta.
Well, great deal. Great deal for Atlanta. They'll have some money over the summer as well to make some
Yep.
moves. I
That'll be
don't think
another
I don't
team.
think they're done at all with making
And then they still
moves.
got a high draft. They should have a draft pick too.
They do. So they still got draft capital. They got money to spend. So it's a lot of teams are going to get aggressive, I believe, this offseason.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then, so to kind of close out, speaking about right teams getting aggressive this offseason, two guys who a lot of people were expecting to be off the table during the trade deadline, but you and I, we came to the conclusion ain't none of these
Yep.
dudes getting moved, which is in Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ja Morant.
Yep.
Do you think both of them or one or the other gets moved this offseason?
Ja especially is going to get moved just
Yep.
because now his
Agreed.
price has gone down, and so it's going to make it a lot easier for teams to afford bringing him in, even wherever his contract currently sits. 'Cause I still think that he's a guy who's making over $35 million a year.
He has like that first year max or whatever. His contract's not too bad. Like Jared Jackson
So
was making more than him.
okay, so teams are still going to be able to absorb that contract.
Yeah.
And Ja is still kind of young.
Yeah, he's still
So
young.
if you're a team that feels like you're the right environment for him and that you can provide him all the things he needs off of the court to be the best version of himself on the court, then yeah, I think it's going to make it a lot easier for him to get moved. Giannis is going to be a lot tougher, and we said this. I mean, he's a $62 million player. It's an unbelievable ticket. And the gravity of having Giannis on your team schematically has a huge impact too, because he's not just a plug and play guy. He is a system like James Harden. You
He is
have to be willing to
absolutely
give him the ball.
has to be his
So
team
that's
wherever
an
he goes.
additional
It can't
adjustment.
be anyone
Yeah.
else's team. Has to be his team.
So that's going to make it a little bit harder. I'm disappointed because I thought the solution that existed for both of those guys was to pair Ja with Giannis. That's what I would have wanted to see, and we talked about that too. I thought the way to keep Giannis happy for Milwaukee would have been to go and bring Ja in.
Especially if his price is low. Like give up your picks. Give
Y'all
all of
don't
that
have
up.
shit.
Give it up. With whoever else they gotta go, give up them picks
Like,
and get Ja, because now you already have told everyone and you've shown that you are invested in Giannis, which I know people are trying to give the Bucks organization flack, but I'm like, stop it. They've done everything in their power to keep Giannis happy.
they
So
have.
I don't want to hear that. But I thought they ought to what we both mentioned, I thought they would have gone all in and just say, hey, we'll get Ja, give up wherever else we need to. And then they still have, right? I mean, give up your pick. You're not winning. So that could be an attractive piece for this year and then whatever other picks you got. Because now the issue with Giannis, he's getting older. He's
Yep.
not getting healthier. And if I'm the Bucks, I'm not giving him away unless you give me, especially for this year, this offseason, unless you give me one of those top 3 picks.
I already told you, if I'm John Horst, I'm ripping your mouth out
Like,
off the drip. I
I'm
don't
not
care who
moving.
you are.
Not moving.
And
I'm not budging.
and if I'm him, I'm going to wait till the summer and I'm going to find an ideal trade partner for me. I don't give a damn
Agreed.
where you go. With all due respect, you
Agreed.
want to leave, right? Okay. So you can go wherever you want to go, but
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I get back the most value added
Agreed.
benefit that I can. And so if I was him, the first place I would call would be Orlando.
Yep. That is
It's
one
the
team.
first place I'll call, because I'm telling you right now,
You got a lot.
Orlando's going to lose in the first round.
Then they're gonna be
Conversations
looking
about whether you already know the conversation about
Mhm.
whether or not Paolo and France could work and da da da. Hey man, listen, if I'm Milwaukee, I'll take Paolo off your hands. I'll let you keep Anthony Black because I notice you're not going to consider that in the conversation if I'm already going to get Paolo. But I
Give me
am
him
going to
too.
need
Y'all keep y'all picks.
I-
Give me both of them, and maybe one pick.
or you keep the picks. I get Anthony Black and Paolo, and we'll leave it at that. Maybe you throw me some cash
Mhm.
in a couple seconds. Or if you want to keep Anthony, that's fine. But I need Paolo, I need Jalen Suggs, and I maybe need Wendell Carter.
Yeah, I need all that, and I need picks
need
with
it.
that too, and I need picks.
Because I'm still letting you keep now Anthony Black, Desmond Bain, and Franz Wagner. You add Giannis, you could cook with that. Those are some ingredients to cook with.
The front office, they got all the control, they got all the power, and I'm not always a fan of organizations in front office like pushing their power when they haven't done the right things. This scenario, Bucks, you've done everything the right way, right?
You
The
did.
Dame situation just didn't hurt. Dame and Giannis both were hurt, and when people try to say, "Oh, well, he won them a ring," cool. The front office made trades. They got Drew Holiday. They got
Come on,
they
Chris
made the right
Middleton, and
moves to make
yes.
sure they can win. So let's not sit here and act like the front office didn't cook. Both of them did. Giannis did his part. The front office has done their part as well. But also, I got Giannis under contract. I don't have to move off of Giannis. I don't have to do what you want me to do. And I'm all for let's come to an agreement to find a trade that works best for the both of us. This situation, if you want out, I'm doing what's best for me because
Yeah.
we've done
Yep.
all the things possible to bring in talent. Like, and so this is the 1 year where we don't have everything together, and now it's like all this friction. Like, what about all these other years I've provided you with the right pieces?
Well, you've been championship
you-
contending.
So you can miss me with that. Again, I told you, I'm sick of hearing this stuff with Giannis. And this is why I give Devin Booker so much
Same,
respect.
bro.
He ain't said a word. He's had down years, up years. This is the organization you said you want to be. Devin Booker ain't said a word about ever leaving Phoenix. Giannis, if you want out, just say you want out. Like, I'm just tired of hearing all this talk. Like, I'm tired of hearing it. Like, and
it's exhausting.
To me,
bro.
it's annoying if I'm on the team. I'm like, bro, what you doing? Like, either you're here or you're not. And I'm not going to say that Giannis doesn't have more better years moving forward than when he has in his past. But if he's going to keep playing the same way that he's playing it with the toe that with how he plays, it's going to be tough. He's going to have to kind of not slow his game down, but he's going to have to start taking some more shots. But that wear and tear, man, it doesn't get better as you get older. So
Like
that's my
he's a
concern.
dude. He should have long, and maybe he has, but he should have long went to go see Hakeem.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that you don't have a greater back to the back basket uh,
That
presence at this
presence, yeah.
point, and it speaks to your point about how he's supposed to, maintain his health throughout the rest of his career. It's like, bro, all of that front end to end driving and downhill and 3 or 4 steps every possession is not sustainable. And to be fair, sometimes it can be a little difficult to play around. So yes, I agree. It having
It's
conversations
a
about
high
Giannis,
asking
where he's gonna go,
price.
it's exhausting.
It's a high asking price, and I think any team that can get him, if you don't have enough assets, meaning not players but in draft capital, you lose too much of your team, and you are really in a full rebuild. So my thing, if Giannis, like if I'm him and you want to leave, know that you're not about to go into a good situation.
Yeah,
Unless
that
like a
too.
unless like a Houston trades for Sengun and you do it straight up and you still got KD there, or if Spurs do it or Thunder. But those are the only 3 teams that I can see that has the capability to still compete with being able to trade for Giannis. Everyone else, you got to gut your team to get Giannis. And what
It
sense
ain't
does
no
that
point in
make?
that.
Like Giannis, you
There's
better
no
go
point in
somewhere where
that.
you know you're going to be happy because you're not going to be winning. So you're going to be in a very similar situation that you were
Yep.
in Milwaukee. And I don't think, and this has nothing to do with Giannis's character or, oh, people don't like him, so they don't want to play with him, but his playing style. Because if I'm another superstar, I'm like, I saw you with Dame. That didn't work. Most of these other superstars were scorers. So do I really want to go play with Giannis? Probably not. But we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be interesting.
We'll see, man.
It's gonna be a
But
busy.
no, Ben. So really good trade deadline. I know it wasn't all the big pop superstars that we saw get moved, but we both agree we saw a lot of teams that made deals that were going to be very beneficial to either one, their money, their team now, or their team here moving forward in the next recent future. So, but we got a really cool episode coming up next week for you guys
Yes.
before All Star break. We got a guest that will be adding. This will be our first guest on the show. Looking forward to adding that guest next week. But Chris, you got anything you want to leave with everyone before we head out?
Well, I was just glad that we was able to get back on screen, man. It's been
Yep.
too long.
Yep.
You know, we got busy schedules, folks. We try to
Mhm.
make this thing work. And so we appreciate you all's patience. We appreciate the engagement. We appreciate
Absolutely.
everybody who subscribed. Continue to tune in. And I'm really excited for our next episode, man.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, let's get ready for All Star break, bro. That's gonna be a fun discussion, even though I hate this new All Star, man. But we'll save for next week. But appreciate you all again. Continue to like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate every single thing that you all do, post, and see you all next week.